French Revolution with a Focus on Peasantry by Noor Azim. Hello everyone, today I will be talking about the French Revolution while going into depth the role of the peasantry throughout the movement. The French Revolution was a major occurrence that occurred in European history, specifically from the late 1780s to early 1790s, where the very landscape and political design of France was changed forever. Before the French Revolution, France held a strict monarchy that left all its power in the king's hands. They also held a strict feudal system that kept the wealthy citizens, like landowners, in power. Above the monarchy, there depicts a flag of the king, and above the feudal system, there depicts a pyramid showing landowners held the most power. Problems started to arise when the peasantry class grew frustrated at the country that was geared against it. Unfair tax laws and a large income gap between the poor and rich aided in a growing frustration. The king at the time, King Louis, enacted economic policies that many agree asked too much from the citizens, while also maintaining a personal impeding spending habit. Finally, a combination of all the country's problems began to manifest in the form of a revolt. The pictures depict some early uprisings of violence. Due to the fact that the majority of France's population consisted of peasants, around 80%, the voice of the class was not a quiet one. With the unification of the rural majority class, the revolt eventually held a great threat against the monarchy. This picture depicts the rural class discussing against the French government. The unification of the class often came from mutual anger at the hefty land tax given to peasants and similar unfair rules enacted by the king. Peasants, due to their commonality, wished for the freedom to escape feudalism and get proper education to gain social and economic success. Traction led to events like the storming of the Bastille, which was a medieval fortress in Paris that represented loyal authority. The revolt was successful and helped give courage to commoners all over France to join the revolution. Another major revolt was the Women's March on Versailles, where women began to riot over the rarity and price of a common food like bread. The success in storming the palace and getting the monarchs to head to the demands foreshadowed the coming fall of the monarchy in France. The picture depicts the peasantry class of women marching. The peasants' revolt and anger was one of the leading factors of the eventual success of the French Revolution. Through succession, France abolished the monarchy and feudal system and helped peasants by ending unfair taxes implemented on them. Executions of the king and queen followed, and through this, radical social reform took place. Now, peasants, through the fruit of their brutal work in the last years, had the opportunity to rise socially, politically, and economically in their society. Thank you for joining me on a little lesson on the French Revolution and the partition